If you have been consuming cannabis for a long period of time, there's a chance that you might be struggling with a cannabis substance use disorder or a weed addiction. And if that's the case, you may have recently come to the conclusion throughout your quitting process that you no longer have any hobbies. Things that once interested you are no longer of interest to you. This was certainly the case for me when I set out to stop consuming cannabis. And the bigger problem was my primary hobby was weed. It was vaping nicotine. It was drinking energy drinks. It was watching adult media content. These negative behaviors, these negative habits had become my hobbies. And weed in particularly is very problematic because it's not promoting your physical health, it's not promoting your mental health, it's not giving you a creative outlet, it's not providing you with a development in your psychology, skill base, or knowledge base, and it's certainly not making you any more money. Unless, of course, you're in the market for growing cannabis and reselling it, then maybe that's a different story. But for a majority of people struggling with a cannabis substance use disorder, cannabis becomes their hobby, and they wind up losing interest in other things. So in today's video, what I'm going to do is provide you with 5 hobbies that I recommend to my clients when we're working with them, helping them get off of cannabis. Now, if you're new to the channel, my name's Dr. Frank, and we have a science-backed method that has a 98% client success rate at helping people quit nicotine or cannabis in as little as 48 hours. Privately, without disrupting your public life, image, and without relapse. You can learn more about that with the link in the video description. Now, before we talk about these 5 hobbies, you have to understand something. A lot of people go into quitting cannabis thinking, I'm gonna find the hobby first, and that's gonna be the reason why I quit cannabis. So I'm gonna start playing tennis. I'm gonna learn how to play an instrument. I'm gonna start up a new side hustle. And the hope is that that new thing is going to distract them enough to a point where cannabis no longer interests them. In a majority of cases, not in all, but in a majority, a vast majority that I've seen, after helping literally hundreds, if not thousands of people quit, typically what happens is you have to stop the consumption of cannabis first, allow for that period of boredom to occur, allow for all that free time on your hands to happen, and then that's when your brain is going to start to direct its attention to some other thing. Now, you want to be really careful to the thing that your brain is going to direct its attention towards. So here are the 5 hobbies. Hobby number 1, I recommend something that's going to make you money. Money can provide you with freedom. And one of the number 1 reasons why people are quitting cannabis is because they want that freedom back. The freedom of the time, the freedom of their mental health, the freedom of their physical health, the freedom of having the motivation to do the things they want to do. But it's not just drugs that can prevent a person from experiencing freedom. Finances, if you live in the United States, certainly also play a role in this. It's an undeniable fact. So I am a big fan of promoting hobbies that could add to your financial stability. This could be learning a new skill and then passing on that skill to others, some type of side hustle, maybe you get into reselling, maybe you get into social media content creation and you do affiliate marketing, or you have your own knowledge that you're sharing with the world and you're charging for it. I want to encourage you to find a hobby that can also one day become profitable for you. Now, it doesn't have to, but most people don't have a problem with making more money. Hobby number 2 is going to be a hobby that promotes your physical health and your mental health, a hobby that's health oriented. So this could be something as simple as walking, which is one of the most underrated things. Walking for me was instrumental in quitting substances, especially because I had suffered such bad physical health consequences from cannabis substance use and abusing stimulants and nicotine and tobacco products and vape products. I couldn't physically do much exercise outside of walking. But when I face a challenging problem or when I have a stressful day, just the ability to get outside and go on an extended duration of a walk, especially if I can get outside on like a bike path or a nature trail, It is incredible what that does for me mentally, physically, psychologically, all around. Walking is a great hobby. Other hobbies, it could be weight training, it could be yoga, it could be Pilates, you could get into dance classes, you could get into Tai Chi or karate or some type of combat-based fitness exercise class. Things that promote your health, hobbies, don't only have to be fitness. This could also be mental health related. It could be practicing meditation. It could be nightly journaling. It could be self-hypnosis and learning that. These are also hobbies that can help to promote a better state of mental health. It could be related to nutrition. Maybe you pick up cooking and culinary arts as a hobby, and that's something that you get into, and that promotes your health. Now, if you play your cards right, what you're going to find is that you could find a single hobby that satisfies all of these things that I'm going to talk about today. So just keep that in mind as we're talking. I had a client that I'm currently working with who was stopping the use of cannabis and a few other things. And one of the main things that I directed them towards was they were super creative in the art and music space, and they had some really good pieces of art that they were sitting on. And I said, well, hang on a second. You're already on social media with some of your artwork. Why don't we take this time when you're not consuming cannabis, not consuming other substances, and why don't we put it into the promotion of your artwork? And why don't we build out a plan to do that utilizing TikTok and Instagram and YouTube Shorts? Now, they have a hobby that's healthy for them because they find creating art to be a source of stress relief. It could potentially become something that's going to deliver them a financial return once they start promoting it on social media. It's also going to fit the next criteria, which is hobby number 3, which is going to be developing a creative outlet, finding a hobby that's creative. When it comes to finding a hobby that you can be creative with, this is typically where I'll see it be like music, art, learning a new language, learning a new skill set, which is something that I would highly recommend. And if you look at my own journey of sobriety and quitting drugs, stopping using drugs, YouTube and content creation, and I didn't start with this. I started with making chiropractic videos, then I was actually making pro-cannabis videos, but I started to learn that I really enjoyed social media, and it became a hobby for me. I enjoyed editing content, I enjoyed shooting videos, I enjoyed learning about the different types of microphones, the different types of camera setups, the lighting. Social media content creation for me was a hobby that I picked up in sobriety because I was bored that turned out to completely change my life, and it's now changed the lives of hundreds, if not thousands, of other individuals. And I want to emphasize something. Cannabis does not add to creativity, okay? So many people think cannabis adds to their ability to be creative, but what's creativity worth if it's not followed by some degree of execution? You could have all the artwork in the world sitting in your closet, or all the music in the world stored on your laptop, or you could have literally, like one of our clients, the next multi-million-dollar app idea sitting on a hard drive on your computer. But if you don't execute on it because you're stoned all the time, what's that creativity worth? Hobby number 4 is going to be a hobby that develops your knowledge, your skill sets. It's going to be the pursuit of educating yourself on something. So I typically like to pursue this in the form of reading physical books or listening to audio books or podcasts or things like that. And I keep a pretty healthy rotation of topics. I'm usually focused on business-based podcasts. I'm constantly learning about the newest and most up-to-date things when it comes to helping people quit substances. So I do listen to that style podcast. I'm very into physical health-oriented stuff, nutrition, fitness. And then being a parent, I got a little 2-year-old at home. I'm really into parenting stuff and always trying to develop myself better as a father and a husband. So that's kind of my rotation of knowledge and skill development that I like to pick up on. But I think this can be an excellent source of dopamine for people. When you quit consuming substances, and as you go through that detox and withdrawal, and as your brain starts to drip that dopamine again, you can actually start to get really excited about the pursuit of knowledge, about the pursuit of education. Gaining more knowledge in something is one of the most valuable things that ever happened to me when I stopped consuming substances, expanding my scope of knowledge. It's changed my life, it's changed the lives of hundreds, if not thousands of others, and it's changed my family's life for the better. If you're someone who values knowledge and you are lacking the knowledge that you need to stop consuming substances, we have a science-backed method that has a 98% success rate at helping people stop consuming nicotine or cannabis in as little as 48 hours. Our method is designed for high-performance individuals. If you're a high-level business professional, you're a C-suite executive, you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, a physician, or an attorney, we can help you stop the consumption of these substances privately without having to go to group meetings, without having to admit you're a powerless addict and that you have a lifelong disease, and we can do it without disrupting your public life or image, and without relapse. You can learn more about that with the link in the video description. Now, the last hobby, hobby number 5, is something that I'm truly a bit of a junkie for. It has to do with expanding your psychology, expanding your mind. And I've predominantly done this through my own coaching programs that I've rolled in, mentorships that I've enrolled in. I want to learn how to do X, Y, and Z. I'm stuck at this position currently in my life. How do I get past this roadblock? And I have enrolled in countless mentorships and coaching protocols and things like that over the years. One of my favorite conversations to have with clients when I'm working with them is the conversations that aren't involved around cannabis substance use anymore. Nothing excites me more than talking to a client who's been looking to quit cannabis and level up their career or their business through utilizing social media content, because that's something I can provide valuable input to them on. A lot of what I did when I stopped consuming substances was I said, okay, what are the directions that I'm trying to go in life? What knowledge, what roadblocks, what limiting beliefs do I have that's keeping me back from getting there? And who could I work with? What could I do to move past that? So another hobby of mine has literally become expanding my psychology, constantly trying to develop myself from a standpoint of self-improvement and just get better and better and better at being a parent, being a business owner, being a coach for people that I work with, constantly trying to improve upon those things. And it's been a tremendous benefit, especially early on in my sobriety, because what it did was it took me out of a space where I was talking about drugs 24/7. And this is why I didn't relate to AA, NA, 12-step programs, or other rehabs. They wanted to make recovery all about the drugs. And in my life, I was focused on anything but that. I was focused on building a family. I was focused on my business. I was focused on my career. I was interested in nutrition and physical fitness. And the last thing I wanted to do was continually keep talking about substance use over and over again. And that's why I say this is one of my favorite conversations to have with clients. It's when we've quickly gotten them away from the substance and we can start to talk about the other things in their life that they were looking to improve upon with the removal of that substance. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, Dr. Frank, this sounds awesome, this sounds great, I'm really into the idea of hobby development, but I can't stop relapsing before I develop a new hobby, I made a video just for you to address that, and I linked it right here or right here. So why don't you follow me right into that next video.